Hi, Nick Dogle, North State Law. We safeguard your professional license so you can get back to business. Today, we're going to talk about informal meeting tips for daycare owners in North Carolina. So, before we get into kind of the meat and potatoes of this, I want you to go back. If you're not familiar with the process with dealing with Division of Child Development Early Education, when they have a suspension or other action against you, I've got a video on the YouTube channel, North State Law YouTube channel, that goes into detail what that is. So if you're not familiar with that process, check out that video. It is appeal of suspension or decision on daycare license. That'll give you a pretty good idea of when you have the option for an informal meeting, okay? So let's get into what is an informal meeting with Division of Child Development Early Education in North Carolina. So you've got your notice of administrative action. You've appealed that to the Office of Administrative Hearings, and you're waiting around for certain filings to be done. All right. You're ultimately waiting for an administrative hearing, a contested case hearing. Now, say two things. You don't want to wait that long, and you don't want to potentially have the outcome that they're proposing. And I'm just throwing this out there. Say they are coming at you with a suspension. They want to suspend your daycare license. In this day and age, any length of suspension is pretty much going to be an end of your business for the most part. There's always exceptions to stuff, but for the most part, that's going to end your business or make it extremely difficult to reopen when your suspension is done. So that would be an example of something where an informal meeting would be perfect for that, because an informal meeting is where you get an opportunity to have a video conference with members of the Division of Child Development Early Education and their attorney. And you get to try to come up and propose a resolution, propose, hey, this did happen. Here's what I did to correct it. Here's how it happened. If there's a discrepancy on some of the alleged facts, that's where things get a little sticky, because in my experience, DCDEE representatives, they don't like being told that they might have been wrong. So you don't want to come into those with an adversarial mindset or an adversarial tone. You do want to make sure that when you've realized that there was a mistake made at your facility or your child care home, whichever the case may be, that it's been corrected. There should be a corrective action plan that was issued way prior to all this coming up. You're best off complying with the cap, maybe going beyond what the corrective action plan requests, and then you have all that stuff done, right? Also, you want to be able to present new information to the Division of Child Development Early Education at this informal meeting. And what I mean by that is you can have certain things like letters from parents, letters from staff, trainings that you've done that might not necessarily have been required by the cap, or that were required by the cap, but you didn't get those done until recently. Things of that nature showing what's called mitigation are going to go a long way towards getting a resolution to your matter, not only quicker than having a hearing, but you're going to get lesser of a potential penalty than if you go to a hearing and are unsuccessful. You also work things out and you don't have that hanging over your head, that uncertainty of, man, am I going to lose my license? Am I going to have it suspended? Am I going to lose my business? You have control over the situation to a certain extent. Now, you're probably asking yourself, with whom at the Division of Child Development Early Education am I going to be speaking with? Usually, they're going to have people that are in supervisory positions, licensed specialists, supervisors of those people. Oftentimes, they'll have the consultant and the investigator, whoever was directly involved in those complaints, those will be on the call as well. And then obviously one of the attorneys for the Division of Child Development Early Education through the Attorney General's office will be a participant on the call. If you have a legal representative, that person is going to be on the call as well. You can have an additional witness with you. You want to make sure that the witness is going to really benefit you, going to offer a lot of things that you wouldn't be able to offer yourself. They're going to be able to speak clearly, They're going to be able to control their emotions. They're not going to be adversarial. They're not going to argue. They're going to be able to be an asset to you at that informal meeting. Those are the type of people that you want on there. You're not going to be able to have a bunch of people on there, by the way. If you're, say that you're the administrator and you want to handle things, you've talked to the owner, that you feel like that's the best approach, you can be on there. If you want to have the owner on there as well, you can have both y'all on there with your counsel if you want. If you're the owner and you want to have just one of the employees on there that was there the day of the incident that led to the complaint, you can do that as well. You can have two other people on there, and then you can also have your attorney as well. So it's very important that you have a plan in place before you do this informal meeting. Because if you don't and you wing it, it's going to go very wrong. And it's probably going to go very wrong very quickly. Way they used to do these meetings up until about, I believe it was December 24, they used to do these prior to that over the phone, which was horrible, but that's the way it was done. People talking over other people. It was hard to get anything really accomplished a lot of times. You can get it accomplished, but you got to be really patient. And when you're in a situation like that, it's very difficult to do. Thankfully, now things are done virtually and everybody gets a link to a virtual meeting, and it's a lot cleaner how everything is done. The other thing, and not to expand upon this too much, but it is extremely important. Yelling, getting emotional, getting upset, things like that are not going to go well. They're not going to be received well. They're not going to help. They're going to make the situation worse on these informal meetings. And you're ultimately not likely to get what you want, which is a lesser penalty than what they are proposing. All right. Some of the other things that you're probably asking is, well, what is this process? Do I just say, yep, I want an informal meeting, tell me the time and send me the link and I'll be there? Or is there more to the process? Yeah, there is more to the process. So there's a specific form that you need to fill out. It's not very complicated, but it has basic information, the license number, the facility or the childcare home, who's going to be on the call, who's the administrator, who's the owner. Are you represented by counsel? If so, who's that counsel? What's their contact information? What are the email addresses for everybody that's going to be on the call? What new information are you going to be producing here? What documents do you have that you're going to produce? And you want to get those documents over to them at least within 48 hours of the informal meeting. You don't want to be rushing and sending stuff over the night before. That happens. Trust me, I've seen it. But you're dealing with people that have a lot of stuff going on. They're not going to be able to adequately go over something within 24 hours. Frankly, you need to get information over to them as quick as possible so they can review it in a timely manner in preparation for the informal meeting. So those are the type of things that really have to be done before the informal meeting can even occur. And one of the things that I have found effective at these informal meetings is courtesy, basic stuff, courtesy, patience, understanding, politeness, manners, basic stuff that as a daycare owner or daycare administrator or daycare worker that you're teaching the kids anyways, you're dealing with a position of authority that likes to make sure that people understand that they're in control. So when I've seen people not listen and they kind of go off the rails, that's when things turn sideways, right? So we want to avoid that at all cost. The other thing to consider is if you're facing a child maltreatment registry action, pending placement on the child maltreatment registry, and that's the action that DCDEE has taken against you, you're not entitled to an informal meeting. They won't do it. However, if you're facing child maltreatment registry placement and you're also the owner and there's an action against your facility, you can have an informal meeting for the facility. And if it's the same set of facts, you can talk about getting off the registry in conjunction with what you may want with the facility license, right? Because it's the same set of facts. same set of circumstances, or reasonably related, same set of facts and circumstances, something like that. So if you're facing the CMR placement and that's the only thing, you have to do just informal resolution a different way. It's not the end of the world, but it's not going to be as simple as doing the informal meeting like you typically would have if you have a facility that's facing an administrative action from DCDEE. So those are the main points. If you got any follow-up questions, we're happy to answer those, but I do encourage you to reach out to our website first. That's northstatelawfirm.com, and check out the blogs there. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, we have a lot of other videos on our YouTube channel. That's North State Law's YouTube channel. And if you still can't find what you're looking for in any of those spots, then please give us a call or a text at 919-521-8810. That's 919-521-8810, and you get a free 15-minute discovery call with a member of my staff. Please keep taking care of North Carolina. I've got a couple young ones, and daycare is incredibly important, not only here, but all over the world. So thank you guys so much for what you do. Have a great day. Bye-bye.